I would like you all to imagine you are a young and healthy boy in India, in a loving family, with a father figure who's your role model, your biggest inspiration. That one person who buys you that lollipop every time you throw a tantrum while grocery shopping. Time goes by as you get older and learn to navigate the harsh realities of this world. As the hierarchical structure of being the only son in the family sets in, just when you needed him the most, your father suddenly passes. And you feel this sudden emptiness, this void in your heart. To combat, you work hard, get into college, get a degree in computer science, putting it right next to your father's picture, hoping and praying that he's smiling down from above. Life moves on. You meet the woman of your dreams. You get married. You have a son. You're so excited to finally make him proud, to fill that void of never being able to make your own father proud. And so you kickstart a business that in no time becomes successful. All seems to be finally going well. You're starting to heal and accept the grief that comes with losing such a supportive parent. Your son is happy, you're happy, and you're finally proud of yourself. But then the economy crashes, killing your dreams and aspirations. That same sense of fear, dread, and anger fills your heart again. All that struggle and sacrifice, and now you're broke? How is that even fair? Your anger channels into frustration. Your only focus is to figure out a solution for your dying business. And suddenly, your wife can't do it anymore. And she decides to leave. But wait, the worst part is, she takes your son with her. Just as you lost your father at such a young age, he's losing his. You have fits of anger, throwing things around. Your family starts to think you're actually crazy, calling you names. And soon they leave you too. To cope, you go to the doctor, get prescribed some medications for your anxiety and depression, and fall into a slump. After months and months of self-loathing and isolation, you finally decide it's time for a fresh perspective, a renewal of your life. You've missed your son dearly these past few months and desperately want to see him. So you get up, get dressed, take your medications for your anxiety, or was it for your depression? Maybe you took both, you don't really remember. Anyways, you're just excited to finally make up for everything your son has missed because of your absence. And so you start a journey. One that never finishes. This is a story of someone incredibly close to me back at home in India. He was found collapsed on the road due to a seizure from the mix of medications he took that night for his anxiety and depression. He was found barely a mile away from home. He left by foot. He left without telling anybody, and he left late at night. He just wanted to see his son. Now, there have been a lot of difficulty in talking about the stigma of mental health illness in India specifically. A recent study had shown that 189 million Indians are suffering from mental health disorders, which is almost 14% of their entire population. And mind you, that's just the number of people diagnosed on record. To add, high schools and colleges are so incredibly competitive. The pressure is so intense and cutthroat that one student commits suicide every single hour. From 1995 to 2019, we lost 170,000 students to suicide. That's 7,000 children, 7,000 families, 7,000 lives that could have been saved if they got the help that they needed. Now, when you look back and take a step and see what actually should be going on, it's that the stigma of mental health and what really people believe about it. Now, they have talked about mental disorders in a very negative perspective and spotlight. And so specifically, how mental disorders are perceived, and specifically, as the table has shown, despite the desperate need for awareness, India reports the lowest mental health support of developing countries. The idea of shame, perspective, and disgrace has caused this, and will not change until our mentality does. Now, in India and many developing countries, mental health is not seen the same way as physical health. For example, if you have a fever, people around you are going to be so worried. They're going to want to make you feel better as soon as possible. But would they care and feel the same way if you said you were feeling sad or upset or having mood swings? Mental disorders in India are seen as a consequence of lacking self-discipline and control. Only people whose thoughts manifest into their actions. Extreme cases where they cause harm to themselves or others are only treated. And of those who are diagnosed, 80% drop out without further treatment. Just out of pure shame of being caught walking into a psychiatrist's office. Just out of pure shame of ruining their family's reputation. Now, there have been a lot of advocates to remove the stigma of mental health in India, one being Dr. Sarada Menon, who persisted, became a medical professional, and actually the first female psychiatrist in India in 1957, which is actually incredibly recent. What piqued her interest in the field was when she walked into a hospital, saw that it was overcrowded in complete disarray. The only treatments patients were given were shocks and painful injections. So she wanted to change the system from the inside out. So what she did was she developed the first ever department of psychiatry with outpatient facilities. She appointed professional social workers for the first time in any hospital in India. She initiated group therapy, encouraged patients to participate in physical exercise, and actually kickstarted telepsychiatric therapy way before COVID. Now, one of her greatest accomplishments was founding the Schizophrenia Research Foundation, or SCARF for short. Many researchers and advocates for SCARF were able to push for reforms and actually pass the Mental Health Care Act of 2017, which ensured that people with mental disabilities should not be discriminated against in schools, the workforce, and in public. Which a lot of people might think it's not a big deal, but in reality, it's such a big step in the right direction of even just raising awareness of mental health and their issues. Now, while there has been a lot of efforts to narrow this mental health care gap, Dr. Menon herself has said, "The goal which I set myself has not been reached. I've yet to establish that people with mental disabilities can live a normal life." Now, even after 98 years of making this her entire mission, there is still so much to be done. Now, if there's one thing to take away from my talk is that you are not alone in your struggle, especially for those without a support system, for those whose parents or relatives don't believe in mental illness. It's okay to be brown and have depressive thoughts. It's okay to be brown and have anxiety and be bipolar and have mood swings. It's okay to be brown and want to constantly feel validated by your parents 24/7. It's okay to not be okay. And I hope that this resonates with students just like me, because we must learn to take advantage of the resources that we actually have and actually help those who don't get the help that they need, because the need is still out there. We must continue to push for change that pioneers like Dr. Menon have started, because there's no better time than now to right this society-threatening wrong of mental illness. Thank you.